I built a new computer, can't you tell? Hey everyone, welcome to Keep Shooting Monday number 111. My name is Greg Cazillo from Cazillo.com. So this week I built a new computer for myself. And yes, I say I built it because when I build it, I actually buy all the individual parts and put it together myself. There's tons of places you can go and buy computers. Personally, I try to save some money and put it together myself, still buying high-end parts. I ended up going with an Intel processor, which is a 4 gigahertz processor. You can actually overclock them now as long as you have enough cooling. So I can actually push that up to like 4.4 gigs, 4.5 gigs, so I get a little bit more speed out of that. I went with 32 gigs of RAM, a 4 gigabyte Asus GTX 970 video card. All this stuff is probably pretty boring to most people, but it all makes a difference. All these things add up to exporting my videos quicker, being able to do things and work quicker, get things done faster. The main reason why I had to upgrade was because one of my old computers was actually serving as the server motherboard, which was purchased 10 years ago, back in 2005. It started having issues where when it would boot, sometimes a couple of the drives would not be recognized by the motherboard or by the operating system. Obviously, that's an issue because I need that reliability. I need to make sure that images are not being lost. That means backups were not being performed or I couldn't access photos. So it definitely was not a hard drive issue because I had tested those drives. So I ended up saying to myself, all right, this is probably a good time to do it. So I bought everything over Black Friday and Cyber Monday, saved a bunch of money doing it that way. Ended up spending about $1,200, including a copy of Windows 10, which I went to. This computer is now running Windows 10, as you can see by the new taskbars at the bottom there. Anyway, well, maybe I can't because it's probably pretty small on that screen. But anyway, you can trust me. It's running Windows 10. Very happy with Windows 10. Definitely go with a professional one if you're going to buy it. Um, Overall, it's a great way to go. My other machine that was my workstation is now the server. It's been reformatted too. It's now in the closet, and it is now 5 years old. I actually built it in 2010. So that's a pretty good average for me to get 5 years out of a workstation. That means the computer, I probably spent 1,500, something like that, on that machine. And yeah, probably, a little more than like $300 a year. That's pretty darn good. And I mean, that doesn't include monitors, that kind of thing, but I get a decent amount of time out of monitors. So, for a high end machine that will really work hard for a long time and is faster than most other machines out there, I'm pretty happy with it. And I've probably built my last. I was thinking about it, and I really can't think of any individual machines, any individual computers that I purchased completely made and assembled with a warranty, all that stuff. I think every computer that I've purchased and built as my primary photo editing station, besides laptops, that is, laptops are pre-made, have all been, I buy the parts from Newegg or from Amazon, and then put it all together. It's actually not that difficult. I would have made a video for you, but it probably would have been pretty boring. And there's plenty of other videos out on the web to tell you how to assemble your own computer. I can post, and I will post my specs and the list of products that I purchased. And so if you're thinking about doing that, I'll still gladly help you. Just post your questions, that kind of thing. But I wasn't going to include it in today's video. Didn't want to bore anyone. So Photoshop included some updates in their new CC. First, they added a touch interface for Windows 10 users, changed the way that everything's laid out, then the colors and basically the interface of Photoshop so that it's a little bit cleaner in between Mac and PC. There's a new start screen for recent documents, which to me is actually pretty annoying. I need to figure out how to turn that off. You can customize the toolbars, which has been a request for a lot of people for a long, long time. Although I never really, that's not really something that bothered me. I couldn't care less about that. I use mostly all the tools. It's so thin and over on the left out of the way, and I thought that was fine, so it really didn't bother me. But one cool thing is you can set it for different tasks. So if you had one task for, editing, cropping, doing for different things, or maybe your primary tools would be if you're doing some, say, facial retouching, you'd have your clone stamp and a couple of those kinds of tools. You can set them, so which is nice. Some other stuff that they added are type features like favorite fonts and additional SVG support. If you don't know what SVG is, Google it. I'm not going to go over that. Once again, it's kind of boring. It's basically just a basic format for editing or for high resolution images that actually is not resolution dependent. It's a vector file. So Lightroom Web Updates is another thing that happened. They added additional tools to the Lightroom web interface. I watched the video from Julianne Cost, and the way that she said it is, hey, if you're away from your mobile device, which probably never happens, or if you don't have your primary computer, you only have a web browser, you can edit and work on your photos, which is great. All you need is a browser. You sign into lightroom.adobe.com, and you can view all your collections, slideshows, share photos, that kind of thing, which is nice. One thing I was thinking about is, hey, if say you're at a friend's house and they have a bigger screen, instead of showing it on your little screen, you want to be able to show it on theirs. Maybe they have a projector or a big screen hooked up. You want to be able to share your photos with a bunch of people. That can be a nice option to have in order to use that. It added editing tools like your crops, presets, white balance, tone, presence, color in black and white, and the dehaze tool. These are all tools that we're all used to using right inside of Lightroom on the desktop or Lightroom on mobile, but now they've added it to the web, which is pretty cool. You can see the image's histogram, and it does, I've figured out, what's actually by accident because it's just such a habit. You can actually use a few of the Lightroom desktop keyboard shortcuts. Like my favorite keyboard shortcut that I use all the time in Lightroom is the G key. It brings me back to the gallery view of all the images from the develop view. Love that keyboard shortcut, and I use it all the time, and I'm glad that they kept that around. The best update of all of them, which I don't know if I would use it, but it's definitely interesting and I like it. You can actually upload RAW files to the web interface, and they will end up on your main computer and added to your main catalog. So if you needed immediate backup, if you had a decent web connection, you can upload your high-res images. Upload your NEF, your DNG, your Canon RAWs, any of your RAW files directly into the browser. It will then send them down to your main computer the next time you open up Lightroom through Creative Cloud. That's pretty cool. I like that. Two things that I'm still hoping in my Lightroom wish list, which I'm sure I'll be making another one of those videos pretty soon. Cross-catalog sync. To me, with all these other options, there's just no reason why we shouldn't have cross-catalog sync to be able to have an exact catalog, or through Lightroom Mobile, have that exact catalog on your laptop. Because when do you not have your laptop? Most photographers are going to be carrying their laptop, or the laptop is their primary machine. Or if you do have a laptop and a desktop, something like that, you have an iMac and you maybe have a tab or another laptop with you when you're going on a shoot. It's so much nice to have those two catalogs be able to sync and work instead of having to export and then re-import. Another thing is Lightroom Mobile Sync with multiple catalogs. I have, I think, 10 different catalogs, one for each year, but I found that there's no way I can get all my 300,000 images inside of a single catalog and expect it expect number one to have a decent workflow and expect to have that thing to run normally. Lightroom is slow enough lately, and so there's no way I want to import all of those images into that single catalog. So it's definitely annoying not being able to see all my images in one place, or to be able to open multiple catalogs, or to be able to sync some of those older catalogs with Lightroom Mobile. And so hopefully that is something that's going to get changed. Flickr talked about their top cameras by different uploads. It's pretty obvious that the iPhone was probably going to be number one at 42%. Canon was 27%, second most popular. Nikon 16%. And then the types of cameras, 39% were phones, 32% were DSLRs, 24% were point and shoots, and 3% were mirrorless cameras. Just as the article says, I'm very surprised at that 3% mirrorless statistic. They've been around for a while and they're pretty popular. And I just balk at that number. It just seems really odd that I have a feeling that part of that point and shoot number is probably the mirrorless number, and it should be more like 10% in that mirrorless. But anyway, two more things for today, then we have a question. Really good article about why did we stop selling prints, and I have two excellent quotes in here that I thought I'd talk about. First, we as an industry allowed the inexperienced and cunning among us to change the industry, and not for the better, while they profited off the masses. And that's exactly what happens. If the inexperienced photographers, the new photographers, they knew how to burn a CD of images, they could figure out how to get their images off the camera, do a little bit of editing, maybe do too much editing to some images, and then instead of doing it, making any prints, getting decent quality prints, they would just, here's a CD, and just let it go. And that's not a good thing. We need to step up. We need to change the industry for the better and work and go in the right direction. And this is a perfect example of that. Another good quote, the bottom line, at least to me, is that we have devalued many things in this industry. The work, the final product, the relationship between client and photographer, the way we market, and it's time to get things mean something. And it's time to get back to making things mean something again. We need to work on that, on those relationships, on, of course, the quality of what we do, from the photography to the way that we display, to the final products that we're outputting, instead of just sticking it on a CD that's going to end up in a drawer or not go anywhere, do anything. Just make it happen. Change your process. Stop just selling a CD. Start selling prints. Start selling albums. Do something with that. And then you're going to find that you're going to end up making more money. And people are going to come around to you instead of just saying, oh, it's just a CD. Oh, you got your photos taken? Oh, really? Wow, that's great. And they can't show it. They can't talk about it. So we got to do something about that and improve the way that we as photographers work. Last thing for today is a video from Ted Forbes. Sorry, Ted. Ted Forbes from Art of Photography. He did a comparison of black and white images from a photo lab and also printing with an Epson P600 printer. And he was only talking about black and white, just black and white, not worried about color or anything like that. The prints from the P600 were much cleaner and more neutral in the black and white tones versus the other printers that the other sample that he had, which is actually from Adobe. The Adobe image was a little bit of a purple tone or a little bit of magenta hue to it, so it wasn't a true black and white image. Although, to be fair, it's very possible that they have a separate black and white process where you can order a print. I don't know them for sure. I never used their process or their ordering, so I don't know for sure what their services are like. I know that when I order through Miller's, they have a separate black and white ordering system so that, or a product that you can order that's just a black and white, so it's definitely going to be neutral. So you know, you might not be quite comparing apples to apples, but anyway, overall, you could see in the prints, even through the video, that the images had a much higher dynamic range, much more shadow detail, and were just excellent, excellent images and great final output. He showed a couple photos of, I believe there were roses, and really, really came out nice. So definitely check out that video on their channel. They do a lot of really great videos over there at the Art of Photography. Last week I talked about the gear that I carry besides the gear, besides the camera, besides the lens, and they said, hey, you forgot something, business cards. Yes, I completely forgot about business cards, and so yes, I always have a pack of them on me. I actually carry them in a little wallet thing in my pocket, and so that's probably why I forgot about them. I actually ordered mine from gotprint.com, and so you might check them out. They're a really good site, really inexpensive. I just ordered another 1,000 cards, and I want to say they were maybe 25 or 30 bucks with shipping. That's really inexpensive. I did all the design and everything myself, of course, and so excellent card, nice and shiny, have a nice feel to it. And so check them out. Check out the site Gotprint, GOTPRINT.com. I've been ordering them for years. Postcards, brochures, business cards, all that stuff. So that's where I recommend. But yes, I forgot about those. So thank you very much for pointing that out. Question from Jessany. I've been able to follow most instructions, but when I go to export it, it exports individual images. Selecting multiple images inside of Lightroom is actually really easy, although it does require use of the keyboard, not just the mouse. I have for years used the keyboard. My left hand is sitting here doing nothing anyway, especially if I'm using a tablet or even the mouse, one or the other. So I might as well take advantage of it and use it. So the main keys you're going to be using for this are Shift and then Control A on the PC or Command A on the Mac. So first one you're going to need to know is using your Shift key. When you're using your Shift key, you select the first image that you want to, and then select the next one, and it's going or the end of the row, and it's going to select all the images in between. If you want to change the primary image that you selected, you actually choose the thumbnail. See how that's changing? See how that you have that, the different thumbnail, the primary image is being chosen. The reason that's doing that is, say you wanted to copy the settings from this photo and apply it to all of the other ones, this is the one you're going to copy it from. That's why it's the primary one. That's why it does that. If you want to deselect all the images, you can then just click the outside away from the thumbnail and it'll deselect all the images. Now, say you just wanted to select a couple of images and not all of them in a row. That's where the Control key comes in. So you can then use your Control key and select all the images that you want. And I'm clicking the thumbnail, and so it will automatically choose those. Once again, you can change the primary one if you wanted to by choosing just by clicking on the thumbnail. Control A will select all of them. Some other options under the Edit menu here are, besides Select All, Select None, deselecting the active photo, select only flagged or unflagged, select by flag, your rating, color label, that kind of thing. Another one that can be useful is inverting your selection. So if, say, we had all of these photos selected and we wanted to apply a color, which is the 7, we gave those all a yellow color, but we wanted the rest of them to be, say, green, okay? Instead of going and then selecting all of those maybe individually or even just doing it this way, what we can do is we can come up here to Edit and do Invert Selection. It'll automatically choose all of the rest of the photos that we have not chosen, and so you can then apply your green label or do whatever you needed to do with those. So these are just a couple of things that, working within the grid view, a couple little tips. Hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for you to check them out and work inside of Lightroom. I think that is it for Keep Shooting Monday number 111. One thing I will mention while I'm thinking about it, if you know of anyone or any suggestions for people you would like to have on the show, I'm actually actively looking for co-host to be on the show with me. That can be over the web in just video conference kind of thing, or it can be right here in person in the studio if they're in the Pennsylvania area. That'd be great too. So any suggestions for anyone you would like to have on the show, please add a comment, tweet me, whatever it is. I'd love to hear it. Thanks, guys. Keep shooting.